Good evening, everybody. I apologize in advance for my voice because I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that. So, this is the 4th of July weekend, and in this time, we give thanks to God for all the blessings bestowed upon this beautiful land. I am very grateful for the United States of America. Now that I am an American citizen, this holiday becomes even more special for me. And even though many times, week after week, when we watch the news, we get discouraged for the wrong directions that the nation turns to sometimes, this is still a great nation under God with justice and liberty for all. One of the staples of the 4th of July weekend is the fireworks. Another one is the barbecue with the family and friends. Some of you may have started your reunions early. Some of you still may have family plans this weekend or all the way until the 4th of July, which is a Tuesday this week. And of course, as usual, it's super nice to eat with family, to gather together and enjoy the beautiful weather. So please cherish those beautiful moments, those beautiful family moments ahead of you. But this is the 13th Sunday in Ordinary Time, and the readings of today give us great insights when it comes to family relationships. Interesting because many of you will spend time with family this week, so good insights when it comes to family relationships. The first reading presents a beautiful complementarity of biological parenthood and spiritual parenthood. We hear today of Elisha, and Elisha used to be the servant of Elijah, the one that was taken up to heaven. So Elisha, he was a celibate man. He was called to the celibate state. He had no children. So I think of those of us who chose the celibate state and who will never have children of our own. But when I think of Elisha, I also think of those who didn't choose the celibate state and while married were not able to conceive children of their own. In this sense, the character of Elisha encompasses celibate, married people, and single people who never had biological children of their own and never will. All of us are called to spiritual fatherhood and spiritual motherhood. I know married couples who do not have children of their own, and they actually become the best mentors, the best godparents to other children, and live their spiritual parenthood in this way. We just lost Sister Maureen this past week. Think of the powerful aspect of a spiritual motherhood in her. She was able to live her motherhood in a profoundly spiritual way. Never had children of her own, but as a result of this spiritual motherhood she had, most of Catholics of this town have been educated by her and by her sisters. That's the power of a spiritual motherhood. But then the first reading continues, because Elisha encounters a couple, the Shunamites, this woman of wealth, prominent in the city, with her husband. And though they were wealthy, they had everything, but they didn't have children. So Elisha prays to God and transmits his spiritual fatherhood upon that couple, so that they may be able to conceive. And so it happens. This was pure gift, because parenthood is a gift and not a right. Not everyone is granted this gift. So this pure gift of fertility is given to the Shunammite couple, and they were able to have a son. And Elisha becomes a spiritual father to that child. In the second book of Kings, the story continues that later on, Elisha was able to raise from the dead that child because he died suddenly. and Elisha was part of the lives of this couple and their song, and raises up that song from the dead. So as you can see, the spiritual fatherhood of Elisha goes through the entire life of this child. But then we have the gospel. The gospel seems to go in what looks like the opposite direction to that first reading. Because if the first reading emphasizes the importance of family and family relationships, the gospel instead focuses on the divine. And as I titled this homily, God first, family second. This is what Jesus is talking about as he is addressing his apostles and us. Jesus says that we are not worthy of him if we love father and mother more than him. Jesus says that we are not worthy of him if we love sons and daughters more than him. Ouch. Because in general, we always say that family comes first, right? But according to the gospel, that's not true. When we say that family is first, that's not the gospel. God is always first. Family comes second. And I know this is hard to grasp because our families are our everything and we love them. For example, in an Old Testament story, don't we feel scandalized when we hear that God asks Abraham to sacrifice his own son? Scandalous. But God is always first. Family comes second. The problem with today's world is that we invert the roles, and family has become first. And if we are lucky, God is second, if not third or fourth or fifth or sixth, if God makes the list. Nowadays, young parents do everything for their precious little Susie and their precious little Jimmy. Little Jimmy and little Susie, they get all the possible participation trophies and the stars on the forehead. They play in every sport. They play in the little leagues as if they will get a full college scholarship to Harvard. If they win that game and the entire season, even better. Except that little Jimmy and little Susie are only in first grade. They get the best trips to Disney World. They get the latest smartphone. But they don't go to church. We are lucky if little Susie and little Jimmy even know how to make the sign of the cross. Bonus points if they know the Our Father or the Hail Mary. But the challenge of God first and family second is not only for them, it's also for us. Those of us who are right here, right now, worshiping God in church. Jesus is challenging us to always make God first, and family comes after. This week, many of you will spend time with your families, and you can't wait. That's good. It's good to be with them. It's a good thing to be with family because we love them so much. But as much as you love them, to the moon and back, you must love Jesus more. If you truly want to be a disciple of him. So when you have your gatherings in these following days, as you interact with your families, show them how much you love them. But be very aware that your deep, deep love for them cannot and should not compare to the deeper love you must have for God. Because God should always be first and family second. Amen.